Hello everyone, Faction in today's second video, going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video, and this will take us to around the 26th of March, so heading towards the end of the month with the week to 10 day video updates now. In fact, the GFS ensembles and extended GFS ECM ensembles more or less gets us pretty much to the end of March now, it runs around a couple of weeks. So, very unsettled today. We've got heavy rain, snow, gale force winds, you name it, it's happening, and we cover this in the week ahead forecast, which has been released at GazWeather earlier on today. It's not going to be like this for the next week, though. The weather's on the change again, another change on the way, and we're going to go back to high pressure in the week ahead. And we cover all of this, I say, in weekend forecast, so have a look at that. And this is going to sort of pick up the same trends of the same period, but I'm going to go further out with this particular update. Just to say that coming up tonight around 6 o'clock, we're going to have the CFS 6 months look ahead. That's just for fun. We're going 6 months ahead with the long range CFS V2 model, which will take us from next month, from April all the way through to September. So you'll be able to see what the CFS is forecasting for the remainder of the spring and the summer. And that's going to be with you this evening. Right, so let's get on with today's second video. Let's start off with the Central England temperature. So we're halfway through the month now, and this is turning out to be a very mild March, actually. We're standing at 7.4 at the moment, up to provisional up to yesterday, 15th. So we're halfway through the month. That's an anomaly of over 2 degrees above average. Now, I have to be honest, it hasn't felt anywhere near that mild a month where I am, but I suppose a lot of that's down to wind chill. It's been a very windy first half of March. We've had regular sort of strong winds and bouts of gales, and this time of year any wind is going to have a wind chill associated with it, really. So the actual temperature on the thermometer has held up quite well, I suspect, particularly at night. In fact, we can look at that. So if I just quickly flip the mean over to the max, let's have a look at how our maximum temperatures are doing. So for March provisional up to yesterday, 15th, the maximum temperature is at 10.3. That's an anomaly of 1.8 degrees above average. So still very mild month in terms of the maximum temperature. And let's just very quickly have a look at the minimum. So it's that one. And there you see it, the minimum temperature is nearly a degree higher than the maximum in terms of the anomaly. So the minimum temperature is 4.8 provisional to last night, so this takes up to the 16th actually. That's nearly 3 degrees above average. So the minimum temperature is nearly 3 degrees above average. The maximum is less than 2 degrees above average. But whichever one we take, maximum or minimum, it's turning out to be a very mild month. Quite surprisingly, because I say I don't think it's felt a particularly mild March at all up to this point. And this is probably going to lift up more, actually, in the next week. Because, as I say, high pressure coming back. And we're going to go into genuine spring-like conditions, I think, as we go through the course of this week. So we may, it's early days, but we may be on for an 8 Celsius plus CET finish. We'll have to go back and see when the last time was we had a March CET of 8 degrees or more. I suspect it wouldn't have been that long ago, but we'll have to confirm this in a video next week. But anyway, we might be on for an 8 Celsius plus CET finish for this March, which would mean that it was a very mild, if not warm, March indeed. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. The GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by the jet stream. Red extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. These are the mean flowcharts for 7 to 10 days' time. So it's going to take us to around the 26th of March. You can see big change on the way in the next week to 10 days with the ECM, with an area of above average heights, high pressure centering right over the top of the country, but below average heights, the low pressure has been bringing us all of the unsettled and very windy weather through this first half of March, and wet weather, all pushed off up to the north along with the jet stream. That's pushed up north as well. So basically high pressure's returning, high pressure is back big time, and we're going to be settling things down and turning things a lot milder. Maybe chilly nights, though. We have to watch out for that. It still is only March, so nights could be quite cold, but certainly much more settled. And the GFS is in agreement about this as well. So again, in the 7 to 10 day time frame, look at that large ridge of above average heights again centered over top of the UK, much of Western Europe for flow, and the jet going something like that. So high pressure is back, and it looks like it's in control potentially right way through to the end of the month. We'll have to see about that, of course, but it may be this is going to be quite an extended bout of high pressure once again. These are the GFS ensembles, upper air and precipitation ensembles, looking at Pembroke down there in Wales today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Pembroke. We're milder than average across much of the south of the country today. Going to go colder in the next couple of days, so tomorrow you will feel quite a chill to the air, and that cold feel will last into, or cool feel will last into Monday. But after that, temperatures lifting up, and through the rest of next week, and then go through to the final days of month. Dates on the bottom of the chart, of course. Through to the final days of month, it looks like the temperature is holding up pretty well, really, certainly. Most of those ensemble members are above the 30-year temperature average, so it looks pretty mild, potentially even quite warm for a while anyway, as we get through to the middle and second half of next week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday may see temperatures into mid to upper teens Celsius, before probably falling back a bit next weekend. And a clear drying trend as well, so a lot of rain around for today. It's not only rain, there is some snow mixed in there as well. But once that's out of the way, look at this, real drying trend through the course of next week, and probably even into the closing days of the month. It does look as though it's really very dry. The very last days of March into the beginning of April, there are some precipitation spikes appearing then. But of course, that's 2 weeks away. It's very extended range stuff. And certainly for the south and southwest of the country, it does look as though we're entering into another fairly prolonged spell of high pressure, I have to say. The temperature anomaly for the next week, this taking us from the 16th through to 24th of March, above average, a milder than average week coming up. So these have trended warmer through the week as expected, and now it looks as though the 16th to 24th of March generally going to be above average with those temperature anomalies. Precipitation anomalies from the 16th to 24th of March, again a drying trend, still a little bit wetter than average with the northwest of England, close average to Scotland. This is all taking into account today's precipitation. Once this gets out of the way, and we'll look at these again tomorrow, I would suspect they will look drier for all parts of the country. Even now, much of England and Wales actually coming out with a drier than average week ahead. This is how the GFS 6 o'clock operational run is looking for Tuesday. This will covered by the weekend forecast, of course. So on Tuesday, high pressures reaching in from the Atlantic. We are bringing a warm front across the country on Tuesday, so a lot of cloud around on Tuesday, but that warm front is introducing warmer air from the Atlantic, of course. By the time you get through to Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, high pressure is just well and truly dominating the scene. Centred across Germany, it's bringing the air up from continental Europe again, and certainly for England and Wales, I think have more in way of sunshine in the second half of the week and a proper taste of spring. Always a chance of some showery rain across the northwest of Scotland from areas of low pressure. As we go through to next weekend, we keep high pressure in control, but its position just changes subtly, and we allow some cooler air to move down from the north. So I expect temperatures will peak around Thursday or Friday in the south and the southeast, possibly at around 18, maybe 19 degrees. But then I think by next weekend, the temperature returns back to sort of low teens Celsius, going back closer to average next weekend, and maybe with some light frost as well. That takes us up towards day 10, and high pressure remains firmly around the country for day 10. We saw it on the height anomaly flow charts. High pressure is in control up to the 10th day, which is Tuesday, the 26th of March. Lots of dry, fine, and pleasant spring-like weather then. High pressure continues to dominate the scene as we go into the extended range with the GFS run. Maybe starting to weaken a little bit as we get towards the end of the month, just pulling out to our west a bit. Certainly allowing some cooler air to topple around the top of the high from the North Atlantic, and possibly going a bit showery. That's as far as we go with the GFS run today. It actually takes us to April. It takes us to Monday the 1st of April. We just look a little bit more cooler, a little bit more showery then. But of course, it's over 2 weeks away. So, I mean, I wouldn't be at all sort of concerned about that. Looks as though high pressure is pretty much in control on this GFS run anyway. Pretty much in control for the rest of March. That's how the parallel GFS run is looking. So again, high pressure is establishing itself because of this coming week, increasingly taking over pattern, bringing dry and spring-like conditions back to the UK through the course of the coming week. Next weekend goes a little bit cooler, but we still keep high pressure in control. It's just that the fact that wind direction changes a little bit and we start to pull down some colder air from the north. But essentially, high pressure continues to dominate, and that takes up to day 10. It's got the high pressure towards Scandinavia. It's pulling in more of an easterly wind then. So I suppose that'll be a little bit cooler compared to the operational GFS. Not cold, though. It's not a cold-sourced easterly. Probably just dragging a lot of cloud and pretty grey, murky conditions, perhaps to the eastern side of the country. But the main thing is essentially it is dry. In the more extended range, the Atlantic breaks through a little bit more compared to the operational GFS. So this is how we look at 384 hours as far as we can get to Monday the 1st of April. And then low pressure is breaking through, just turning that little bit more unsettled on the parallel GFS. But again, this is over 2 weeks away, so it really isn't worth being particularly concerned about. And then the ECM2F, well, we know this is going to trend towards high pressure again because we saw it on the height anomaly flow chart. So this is Tuesday, bringing that warm front in from off the Atlantic with quite a lot of cloud. But then the high pressure increasingly dominant through the middle and second half of the coming week, particularly so for England and Wales. It will be a little bit more changeable still for Scotland and possibly at times Northern Ireland. Still some showery bursts there at times, but for England and Wales, spring coming back in the second half of the coming week. High pressure stays in control into next weekend, but its position just changes a little bit, centred out to west of Ireland, allowing probably a little bit more cloud and certainly cooler air to come around the top of the high pressure. But going up towards day 10, look at that, the high pressure remains over the UK, or very close to the UK. That's how we look at day 10, which is Tuesday the 26th of March. That high pressure going nowhere fast. It's 1,035 millibars, so it's a big area of high pressure, and it's centred right over the top of the UK. So we can expect lots of dry and, to be honest, pretty mild weather with that. It may be cold at night, but by day the sun is getting stronger now. So I suspect by day in the sunshine that would lift temperatures into the mid-teens Celsius. Then we're going to look at the Icelandic Met Office. So these are the postage stamps from the Icelandic Met Office. This is how the options are on the table. These are the options on the table, I should say, at day 10. So this is taking us to the 26th of March, of course. So we've got 12 members of the ECM ensembles that have high pressure centred over and a little bit to the north of the country. We have another 12 members of the ECM ensembles that have high pressure centred over the top of the country. That includes the operational ECM run, the run we're just looking at, and the control. We've got 11 members of the ECM ensembles that have high pressure over, or perhaps a little bit to the east of the country. So they all want high pressure to be dominating, really. It's just the exact position of that high pressure that they're all differing about slightly. It makes very little difference, probably, in terms of the weather anyway. Then we've got 10 members of the ECM ensembles. They look a little bit more unsettled. They've got high pressure or above average heights down to our south, more influence with low pressure in the Atlantic, and more influence from the jet stream going through like that. And then there's 6 members of the ECM ensembles that have a Scandinavian high at day 10, and they're bringing in a little bit more of an easy flow. So those ones will be in line with like what the parallel GFS was showing. Gets a high pressure to Scandinavia, pulls in an easterly flow. It's all just variations of a theme, really, within the ECM ensembles today. They are very, very much in agreement for high pressure to be dominating up to day 10. It's just the very exact position of that high pressure is a little bit uncertain. But if you put all the options together, and most of them are very anticyclonic, then it does look as though high pressure is going to be remaining well and truly in control up to day 10. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that are on the table in the ECM ensembles. This takes us to 360 hours, which is the final day of March. So we've got 14 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure ridging from the Atlantic through the UK and into Europe. So they're very dominant with high pressure, jet stream pushed off up there, of course. There's another 10 that have high pressure kind of like centred a little bit to our north. So we're bringing in a slightly more of an east to southeasterly flow, but they're still pretty dry high pressure's in control with those ones. There's another 10 that have high pressure going quite a long way north, so that's more of a northern blocking type feature, and that allows low pressure to come up from the south. So those ones are more unsettled. There's 10 there that in 2 weeks are turning more unsettled. They'll be bringing rain up from the south or from the southwest. There's 9 that have got low pressure below average heights weekly to our south and above average heights centred over Scandinavia. So those ones are a little bit more changeable as well. And then there's 8 that have below average heights to the north, low pressure to the north, and they're bringing in a west-northwesterly flow. So they're a bit more unsettled too. So we've got kind of like 24 members of the ECM ensembles that are dominated by high pressure. And then we've got 10 and 9, we've got 10 and 9 and 8 that are just a little bit more unsettled. So maybe trending towards more unsettled conditions for month's end, but of course that is a really, really long way off, so I wouldn't be particularly concerned about that. So we've gone wrong there. I've got rid of the weeks 1 and 2 CFS V2 500 millibar high anomaly flowchart. So you're going to have to pause the video, and I'll get that up for you very shortly. Then I'll be back with the CFS V2 weeks 1 and 2 500 millibar high anomaly flowcharts very, very shortly. Right, we're back and we've got the CFS V2 weeks, or CFS V2 weeks 1 and 2 500 millibar high anomaly flowcharts loaded up. So this very latest from the CFS V2, and this is what it's showing for the coming week. This is the 16th to the 22nd of March. We've got below average heights up to our north in the coming week. We've got above average heights over and to the south of the country, so high pressure is well and truly in control. The jet streams coming through like that, so it's perhaps a little bit unsettled, a little bit changeable, I suppose, for the far north of the country, but really most parts of the country going under high pressure. You expect a lot of dry and pretty mild, if not fairly warmish weather with that. Week 2, look at this, real strengthening of the high pressure. This was the 23rd to the 29th of March with high pressure then centred to our east. Low pressure is out towards Greenland and Iceland. The flow and the jets going like that. So that really is high pressure back big time for the final week of March. You'd expect loads of dry weather with that, and pretty warm as well. The wind will be coming from a southerly, southeasterly type direction, so that would be fairly warm. You had a snapshot of this when I made that mistake before I paused the video. So this is week 3, 500 millibar height anomaly. This is the 30th of March to the 5th of April. So you know what this is going to show. Above average heights centred through the UK from the east and going out into the Atlantic. The jet stream is still up there. So we go into the opening days of April on a very settled and potentially quite warm and dry note. Bit of a change for week 4. This is the 6th through to the 12th of March. Still above average heights centred to our east, but low pressure below average heights just beginning to develop around Greenland and Iceland. So possibly starting to turn just that little bit more unsettled and a little bit more changeable there from the 6th to the 12th of April. However, that's week 4 and it is a long, long way off. So I wouldn't be particularly concerned about that either. It looks as though high pressure is going to be dominating for the rest of March, I have to say. There will be interruptions of weather systems coming and going. The position of the ridge will change subtly from day to day and allow day-to-day temperature changes. But overall, I think the trend, once this weekend is out of the way, I think overall the trend through to the end of March is going to be very much towards high pressure and on the drier and more settled side. So spring is back next week, and it looks like we're going to keep high pressure going through to month's end. Maybe signs of a bit of a change by the very end of the month and the start of April, but this is 2 weeks away and it's really unreliable. Right, so that's your second video done for today, and we're going to be back this evening with a CFS 6-month look ahead, just for fun, taking us from April through to September. So that'll be with you this evening. Tomorrow we're going to start off with some more summer analogs. So that'll be the first video up to our second summer 2019 analogs update. Then we'll of course have the Gas Rugby Study Roundup tomorrow afternoon. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.